couple of Jum'ahs ago, I made an angry comment about those who would object to a woman doing the Adhan, and told those people I would discuss the aura of a woman's voice, whether a woman's voice is aura, once you take care of priorities, like liberating Al-Aqsa Mosque. But I have a greater point here. Is it irrational when your ummah is falling apart around you everywhere for you to even notice and become preoccupied, or even not preoccupied, just occupied with an issue like the aura of a woman's voice? In my view, part of what an irrational person displays is a lack of ability of engaging priorities. Part of what irrational human being is the ability to prioritize. Before I go out, I have to get dressed. If I don't get dressed, I can't go out. That's priorities. That's what rational people do. If you reverse the process, I'll go out naked first, and then I'll get dressed, you lack mental capacity and possibly you're insane. Before I can eat, I need to work to earn a check. Then I can spend money to buy food. These are logical priorities. The ability to prioritize is part of mental capacity. If you're incapable of prioritizing, you are either lacking intelligence or lacking mental capacity. A huge part of intelligence is knowing what comes first and what comes second and what comes third. In fact, when I grade a paper, half of the grade is how you present your information. Someone could have the greatest ideas in the world, but if they don't know how to prioritize and present, they lack competence. So that's one. I wasn't being facetious. That's one. But I was disturbed by the number of people who gave my comments dislikes, not because I care about what people think about me, I don't, but because it disappointed me in this ummah. And I was even more disturbed by some of the comments written, like the smart aleck who said, well, get her to do adhan, stop doing adhan first, and then we'll liberate Al-Aqsa. My response, you lack priorities, you lack mental capacity, you're insane. But there is a more fundamental issue. So many Muslims do not know that we have a long tradition of Muslim women qari'as. Women reciters of Qur'an and performers of Adhan, and women heading Sufi tariqas, is a tradition that goes back centuries. If you get away from the Arabian Peninsula and you understand that Islam is not just Arabia, but Islam is the entire ummah of Islam. Here, to give you a headache, is the partial name of Muslim female qari'as. Maghfira Hussein, Shalwat Asayifa, Pooja Swarma, Farhatullah Fayruza, Hajar Nasr, Iman Talibi, Asma Barour, Zahra Hilma, Halima Butrik, Sharifa Khazif Fazlullah. She's from Indonesia and she's amazing. From Morocco, Hajar Busaq, the famous Jennifer Grout, of course, that most people know about, Wafiqa Aziza, and closer to home, Medina Javed from Scotland, England. But even older than that, many people don't realize that Kulthum, the famous Kulthum, started out a reciter of Qur'an. And she left the field of reciting Qur'an to sing romantic songs, and I will say something about this in a second. But long before Kulthum, there was Sakina Hassan. الشيخة حسنة, الشيخة Anwar Muhammad, a woman known as الشيخة Mabruka, who is very famous in Egypt, الشيخة Munira Abdu, currently الشيخة Layla Hassan, الشيخة زهية شركس, الشيخة نوال الرفاعي, الشيخة الزهراء لايق حلمي, القارئة فرح أمشيشو, القارئة خديجة نطوانة, القارئة خديجة أزداد, and many, many more. The tradition of women Qur'an reciters and Adhan performers is very old. Very old. But the sad thing is the same Wahhabi Islam that vilified the idea of women reciting Qur'an or performing Adhan. That's the same Islam that is now opening up bars in Mecca. And instead, a woman qari'ah, which they continue to vilify, they invite Nicki Minaj. Instead of Sheikha Minhaj, they invite Nicki Minaj to come recite. Not the Qur'an, obviously. And invite Mariah Carey. The Islam that has convinced you that a woman's voice is awrah is the Islam that has betrayed you, but you remain stupid and ignorant. What is the whole thesis of a woman's voice as awrah based on? A single solitary hadith that is unauthentic from every whichever way. The Prophet passing hears a woman singing behind a window and tells her to stop singing. But with that, you have numerous reports about the Sahaba, women teaching and speaking, and a long traditions of women reciting Qur'an and performing Adhan. But let me tell you what my problem is. When women recite Qur'an and do Adhan, they don't end up on radio stations. It is only men that are privileged by being broadcasted. Most recording companies don't want to record women or sell the recordings of women. So women who have the gift, what happens to them? Many of them do what Kulthum did. Eventually give up on reciting Qur'an and sing Bahibbak, I love you and you love me. Are you happy? Imagine with me if Kulthum remained the Qur'an reciter. With that amazing voice, if it would have remained in the service of the Qur'an. There was a woman who had a voice of the quality and timbre of Kulthum. Her name was Sumayya Adib, an Egyptian woman. Ya Allah, when she read the Qur'an, your heart trembled. She got married. The next thing that happened, she married someone of those people that says woman's voice aura. She wore the niqab and no longer recites Qur'an in front of men. And in fact, on Facebook, pleaded with people to take down all her recordings because it is haram. That woman with a golden voice who could make hearts tremble out of love for Allah through her recitation, now hides that gift. Is that rational? Is that aql? Is it aql to talk about a religion that wants half of the population of the world silent? How much aql do you need to understand that it is not the Prophet ﷺ that silenced women? It is patriarchy. It is you, same men, who give the dislikes and write the comments. Authoritarian, insecure men whose ego is easily threatened by women who can look at you and say, I am your equal. The problem is in you. Your male ego is so fragile. I am sorry, but that's the truth. You have fragile egos. Say astaghfirullah and a'udhu billah min shaitan rajim, and try to listen to some of the recitations of the women that I named. Someone like Hajar Busaq is an angelic voice. And see how she will make your heart move when you listen to the Qur'an from the perspective of a female voice. Because that's part of aql, the perspective of a female voice. The perspective of a female voice. We don't want another Kulthum that turns to love songs because no one will record her reading the Qur'an. We don't want another Sumayya Adib who wears the niqab and says, that's it, my voice is aura. We want the aqli position that women have piety too. And women have a relationship with Allah too. And that some women, Allah has given them a beautiful voice that they can place in the service of Allah. And who are you to come and say, no, haram? And your haram is not based on anything other than the fatwa of the same people who are now betraying the Palestinians and betraying Mecca by building bars in Mecca and Medina. The religion of the intellect is surrounded with ignorance and irrationality. This is not right. And the solution starts with you. Stop being a male chauvinist. Stop being small-minded and ignorant. And make a commitment that your piety must shine upon humanity with reasonableness. Reasonableness and virtue. قولوا قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم.